Yeah, it's challenging. It's just small rooms.
Hey, Marley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear us?
Perfect.
JJ, could you please ensure that Mandy can unmute?
Looks like I can now. Thank you.
Yep.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Good morning, supervisors. Before we begin, could you please double check your microphones are on? Can you hear us well? Yep, it all looks really good. I could hear Mandy great too, so, or Supervisor Remington.
All set.
Meetings of the Johnson County Board of Supervisors are open to the public and are generally live streamed. To join electronically, please visit johnsoncountyiowa.gov/meetings. Written comments may be submitted to sups@johnsoncountyiowa.gov. If you require accommodations to participate, please contact the board office at 319-356-6000 prior to the meeting. Public comment is at the discretion of the chairperson and will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Due to public meeting laws, the board may only discuss or act on matters presented on this agenda. Welcome.
Good morning. We'll come to order. It's 9 a.m. Today is Thursday, August 6, 2026. This is a formal meeting of the Johnson County Board of Supervisors. Roll call, please.
Green Douglas. Here. Sullivan.
Here.
Fixmer-Rice. Here. Green.
Present?
Remington.
Here.
All right. We have all 5 supervisors with us this morning. Thus, quorum. Next, the chair would seek unanimous consent to approve the agenda as presented. See no objection. It's so ordered. That brings us to business from the public. Public comment. Is there anyone with public comment this morning? Is there anyone with public comment this morning?
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Nick Burgess. I am from Iowa City. I'm here today taking time off work because I wasn't one of the 17 people who was invited to participate in a focus group to talk about the jail project a couple years ago. And I'm told this is where I have to come to offer that input. We're being told that a $100 million jail is necessary for the dignities of the humans under our care and in our employ. But you know as well as I do that dignity doesn't come from new walls and fresh paint. Before asking the public to invest an incredible $125 million, right, like there's $30 million in interest in this, on a racist institution, the county should be asking, what can we do right now? If the issue is dignity, why do we not offer in-person visitation to those incarcerated by the county right now? If the issue is dignity, why do we not provide access to the outdoors right now? If the issue is dignity, why do we not invest in prevention that we know works right now? If the issue is dignity, why are people dying in our jail already? Why was Nate Davies Jr. mostly ignored until he died from alcohol withdrawal while under the care of our sheriff, instead of receiving medical care and simple treatment that would have saved his life? Johnson County voters have repeatedly rejected spending money this way, and instead of asking why, you're hoping we'll just go along this time, instead of offering real options and real alternatives. Yet every chance we've had to express skepticism, we have. Just this year, District 4 voters nominated the candidate who was willing to express skepticism over the jail over their fellow no slow all go colleague. District 5 voters chose the candidate who was willing to approach this issue with some level of nuance. Johnson County isn't even able to put forward a proposal that the 5 of you can agree on. This plan will not provide dignity. This bond will fail. Stop wasting our time, our energy, and our money moving forward a plan that will fail. Get real input. Provide real opportunity to engage. Stop and actually listen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Board. My name is Elizabeth Rook Panacucci. I'm an organizer with Prairie Lands Freedom Fund. Prairie Lands Freedom Fund pays immigration bond to get immigrants out of immigrant detention. You've heard me at the CJCC express my concerns that this jail is just too big. There is no data that truly supports 120, 140 heaven forbid, 240. And I haven't actually seen the mechanics come out of a plan or anything done to eliminate the true and dangerous risk of building big. It scares me because what I hear is the board keeps saying, we would never approve an ICE contract. And while I believe that of the people that I'm looking at right now, you're not actually in control. And you are not the board of our future. The building will last. The people in front of me will change. It is already illegal in our state to not cooperate with ICE. That needs to be taken seriously. It needs to be accounted for when you build this big, when you build beyond the number of cells that the outside researchers said were needed that we're using currently. What our data shows is that the diversion programs that we do have, while limited, are working. Our jailed population does not align with our community population. To plan for a jail that grows with our community growth only undercuts all the efforts that we put into diversion. That's undercutting your own work. This jail is too big. ICE, it is opening us up to a risk of ICE seizing the beds, of ICE coming in and using beds that we build, beds that we paid for their agenda, starting the deportation machine in our community in a way that puts us all at risk. Their increased presence is a risk to every person in Johnson County. I'm here on behalf of undocumented folks, underdocumented folks, and I'm also here on behalf of myself. I don't want to interact with ICE. We saw what happened in other communities when ICE came in and occupied. Building infrastructure this big opens that door in our community, and hiding behind that we wouldn't sign a contract today is just a facade. That's not real. That's not lasting. This building being too big is real and lasting and is opening us up to a massive risk that we absolutely should not take.
Thank you.
My name's Renee Harper. I live in Iowa City. My giggles came out yesterday because from the outside, every step of this new jail process, the lack of meaningful public engagement, transparency, utilizing basic data, I don't know what else to do but laugh at the absurdity sometimes. You all seem disconnected from what many people in our community are thinking about and talking about, and that actually sincerely concerns me. So I'm going to bring up a few things that I keep hearing about as some examples of what would be meaningful for public discussion and engagement. The case of fatal neglect involving Nathaniel Davis Jr., which the new jail proposal for a new building does nothing to address. And have you all even read through the lawsuit that a community member sent to you? Vacancies in a new jail and the possibility that Johnson County could be forced to use those for ICE detentions. We need more than bold words at rallies. Why the county attorney can give the nod to an armed member of the sheriff's department to attempt to censor a trans person at your public meetings, and why an incident like this goes unaddressed in any meaningful way. The tensions and challenges around trying to build alternatives to policing and incarceration, such as with the field mediation program, while also trying to work with the sheriff's department and get them on board with such alternatives. And what tangible, helpful things our community actually needs and wants, and that could be done with $100 million. So when I say meaningful public discussion, I mean public-facing discussions amongst you and us, the community, being able to witness and provide input and feedback. For many of us, these are just a few of the things that would need to be dug into before we would even start considering what kind of building or a price tag to put on a project like a new jail. You are so fortunate to have access to a treasure trove of community engagement, tireless research, willingness to give input, deep care about all of our futures, and deep care for the most vulnerable amongst us. People putting so much of their unpaid personal time and energy into this issue. You have that right in front of you right now. It's not too late to take accountability for a flawed planning process and start over with more intention in engaging the community on the issues that are basic to many of us, and start rebuilding some trust with your constituents.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Hello, I'm Lisa Martinsick. I live in Johnson County, Iowa City. And I'm asking again why this proposal is supposed to be the right answer, as we've yet to receive credible answers or sometimes any answers to the real questions that have been coming up. Why, for example, is one office space supposedly worth more space and money than rooms dedicated to inmate services? Why does this proposal ignore both trend data on future needs for number of cells and also current state and nationwide evidence, as has been referenced, of how existing cell space statewide and nationwide is being used? Where is the evidence, the research, the studies? Because plenty of studies and evidentiary work has been done on jails and incarceration, arguing that this proposal is the best way of meeting needs. Because for all this time and money, it should be the best solution for now and the future, or close to it. I've been contacted privately by people who've experienced dealing with mental health aspects of the current jail and who are reluctant to speak publicly because of those experiences and because people involved with those are also involved with this project. And they think strongly, having paid attention to what's going on, that this project is inadequate to meet extant problems and that it doesn't address many real needs. I'm not saying we have no needs. I'm not saying do nothing. I'm saying this proposal is clearly not the solution for serving the community of Johnson County. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Good morning, board. I'm Dr. Emma Denny. It's nice to see all of you again. There's reporting in the Des Moines Register yesterday that ICE detentions in Iowa are up year to year 272%. I need to impress on everyone here how little control you have from those seats about that, and how little control any of us here would have about how ICE uses this facility if you choose to build it under this current language. Part of the problem with this carceral system is that it insists constantly that it is the solution to this problem, that it insists constantly that the only way we can move forward and make a better world is through cruelty and violence. And you've heard constantly people in this room, people from across the county telling you otherwise, telling you things you've already done that can address these issues. Things like meaningful reinvestment, not meaningful reinvestment, meaningful continuing investment in diversions. Things like meaningful continuing investment in the current jail to make sure the people that are there right now are actually supported and actually have services. And things like that reduce the need for this jail, which I've personally failed to see clearly expressed. One of the reasons our carceral system exists the way it does at the moment is because of a frankly centuries-long effort to remove any alternative. And constantly throughout this process, you all have the option to choose an alternative, to choose a better world and a better future that you know we can build. And I hope you continue to choose it.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Hello, my name is Shelby. I'm an Iowa City resident. I really don't have much to say that hasn't already been said, but I will just state that the majority of the public comments that I've seen in Johnson County supervisor meetings recently have all really been saying that this is an incredibly slippery slope to build a jail that you do not have control of how and when it would be used from our like higher governing status, like the state and ICE specifically. And even if you are out here saying, "Oh, I won't vote yes on the jail, but I will vote to buy that land." Again, very slippery slope. And so I guess my confusion here with you guys is that if the majority of the public comments that have been coming in here are saying, hey, we don't want this jail because it is a slippery slope and it can be used for ICE detentions. I mean, our community has already been affected by ICE detentions. If anyone remembers the bread garden incident, I just don't understand, because this country is supposed to be based off of a democracy. You guys vowed when you took office to listen to your constituents. Your constituents are here. Like, they are actively saying that this jail is a bad idea and a slippery slope, and yet we are still arguing this idea. So it just confuses me. And hopefully you guys take to heart what is said at these meetings and what is being done, because Johnson County does not want this jail. Like, I don't know anyone who is out here as a huge proponent for this jail. So I maybe just refocus on the voices that are out in the community and showing up to these meetings, and take a second to sit with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Roy Sam Porter, former Johnson County supervisor, and I hope what I'm getting ready to state will take away some of the confusion that's out there. Everybody keep talking about the community inputs and how they were not involved. 69 meetings of public where the public could have come out. So today I'm going to say, good morning, supervisors. As we prepare to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Lula Murrah Johnson, I want to remind us that civil rights are not just about history. They're about how we treat people today. I have heard concerns that the community did not have any opportunity to participate in these discussions. But the record tells us a different story. As of July 29, 2026, there have been 69 Board of Supervisors meetings where the jail or sheriff's office was on the agenda. Those meetings were open to the public, and they provided opportunities for citizens to attend, ask questions, and share their views. We also cannot ignore the reality of the current jail. We have heard repeatedly that the facility has serious structural problems, unsafe conditions, and an environment that is inhumane. Inhumane, not only for those who are incarcerated, but also for the correctional officers and the staff who work there every day. If we truly want to honor the legacy of Dr. King and Lula Murrah Johnson that was mentioned yesterday by UV, then we must stand for dignity, fairness, and humanity for everyone. That includes ensuring that people are not housed or working conditions that they're in fail basic standards of safety and human dignity. This vote is not just about a building. It is about our values. It is about whether we are willing to address a problem that has been discussed publicly for years. I respectfully ask you to vote based on the facts, on the record, and on responsibility we have to protect human dignity and public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Is there any additional public comment?
Set that right there. My name is Amel Ali. I am a Johnson County resident. I am one of the organizers of Johnson County Deserves Better. That name is intentional because we deserve better than whatever crap you're trying to put on this ballot. We deserve better than John Green starting off his career saying that Black Lives Matter, that you're going to do whatever you can to make sure the sheriff racial disparities stop. What have you done? You took it off of your website because the will wasn't there. You're like John Fetterman Green is what I want to say. So, and then second, these 69 meetings that people keep talking about, they happen during the day. Most people work. A lot of people don't get your amazing salaries. They don't get paid $107,000 a year to work 2/3 of their job and then come in and show up whenever they want. It's really hard for a lot of people to come in at 9 a.m. both days in a row. These rules are hard and confusing to follow. And then the other thing I want to say is that Johnson County Deserves Better has been talking to people. We've been at the farmers market. We've been letting people know about this. A lot of people actually don't know that this is happening, and most of the reaction is like, what? I thought this has already failed. So since we want to talk about what the public wants, I put some these are some of my favorite things that we ask people. So we asked them if we had $100 million to strengthen community safety and well-being, what would you imagine that we would build? Expanded domestic violence programs, free transportation across the entire county. If 75% of people are getting released within 24 hours and the number one charges are related with intoxication, why wouldn't we have robust public transport? Healthcare funding, free all hours public transport, mental health services for all, feed everyone, free housing, expand Iowa City Water to the mobile home parks. You know that that's something that you guys have cared about a lot. They're struggling out there. Daycare, free and accessible ran with training and love. People want crisis workers embedded in public schools. People want legit transportation in rural Johnson County. So many protected bike lanes. And homelessness, 261 permanent supportive housing units, edible gardens everywhere. True community center space for mutual aid networks, food access, immigration supports, and community designed and run. These are just some of the things. We know that the work doesn't stop when this bond measure fails, and I'm excited to keep holding you guys accountable.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Is there any additional public comment?
Hi, my name is Maeve. I'm a Johnson County resident. I just want to say that I think it's kind of ridiculous to talk about how many public meetings there are for something like this in the interest of democracy when, as Amel put it, a lot of people can't take the time off work to come here early in the morning. Also, when trans people come up here, get a little mad. You have the sheriff come over here and escort them away. That's not very democratic to me. I also think it is absolutely fucking disgusting to invoke the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in support of jailing more people. That's crazy.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Are we signing in or?
If you'd like to.
Okay, I'll do it after.
Either give your name or sign in one of the
Okay, my name is Oliver Weiline. I'm a Johnson County resident and Iowa City resident. I really appreciate a lot of the comments that came up before to give specifics about why particularly financially for feasibility reasons why putting this on the ballot is not the move. But I like to go out a little bit, zoom out, and just say that I think we live in a bubble in the United States of America, which is we incarcerate more people than any civilization in the history of human civilization currently. We have 5% of the population, 25% of the incarcerated population. And to say that the prison population is so separated and different from the jail population, I think is it's critical infrastructure that is supporting this system of mass incarceration. And we are limited about the levers that we can pull publicly. I know that as a city council person, and it's always frustrating. I know it's frustrating for all of y'all, the limitations that we have, but there are certain levers that we can pull. And with the new laws that make it harder to divert people, make it harder to release people who don't need to be incarcerated, why are we then pre-complying and providing that infrastructure for the Republican legislator ahead of time, instead of working to try to fix the problem with the current facility while doing everything that we can on the local level to divert more people. And I also want to say that it's not an either or, $100 million bond or fixing the bad conditions at the jail or the bad conditions for the sheriff's office. Putting it as it needs to be this or you don't care about that, I think it's something that proponents of the jail really want to be the conversation, but that's not the conversation. Your own consultant said that we could put the current building up to snuff for $20-ish million instead of $100 million. And I know the city of Iowa City, when it comes to our police department has had a bad living space for a long time. They've been cramped, just like our housing authority, just like our finance department. And we were able to purchase a piece of property for $3 million. So why are we conceding the fact that we will need to spend tens of millions of dollars to build a new brick and mortar building for the sheriff's department when, like has been said before, $100 million. We're currently working on a plan right now, and some of y'all are on this working group to reach functional zero homelessness in Iowa City. It is not good that the jail is in the condition that it's in. And I'm always asked if I've toured the jail. I've toured it in a way. I will say, I've been in worse. I will say that, but not to undercut the... Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Morning. Anthony Houghton, Iowa City. I hadn't planned to make any comments today, but given that yesterday I did make the distinction between jails and prisons, I wanted to add some additional comments regarding that. First of all, personally, I have roughly 14 years of corrections experience. I was a prison guard for a number of years. I was an intensive probation parole officer, community-based corrections, defense attorney for a number of years, and I can assure you that I doubt if there is anyone in this room that has kept as many people out of jail and prison as I have. I've kept hundreds of people out of jail and prison, and I'm constantly working to reform our criminal justice system, our social systems, and I am frankly tired of people coming up here talking about the community doesn't want this and the community doesn't want that. Well, I'm a member of the community, and, you know, I have an opinion also. Matter of fact, to give you an idea of how long I've been in this community, you know that big-ass hospital we have over there, University of Iowa Hospital, my mother was the first black registered nurse hired by that hospital. Most of the people in this room, I would wager, don't know who Tate High School is named after. Elizabeth Tate. Elizabeth Tate wiped my ass when I was a baby because she babysat me. Or Lemmy School. Most people don't know who that's named after. Helen Lemmy. That's right. Close family friend. Philip Hubbard. That's how long my family's been in this community. So I get tired of people saying, you know, the community doesn't want this and the community doesn't want that. And I also get tired of folks, white folks, coming up here invoking Lulu, Merle Johnson, Martin Luther King, trying to justify opposition to this facility. If you want to oppose it on the basis of it costs too much, or we don't need the bed space, or ICE is coming for our ass, you know, ICE is federal. That's a national issue that we need to address as a nation, not just this community. And this community is important, but I'm just, you know, feel like I need to let you know that, it's not all one-sided. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
I think I said this about a year ago. My name's Zoe. I live in Iowa City. I've lived in Iowa City my entire life. Every time you talk about the population of Johnson County increasing, and so thusly you need more beds in the jail, you are treating every single person that comes into this community as a potential person to put in jail. And you are treating their lives as something that you can play with, basically. And when the numbers say that most of the people who are currently in jail can be diverted from that, I don't understand why we need a bigger jail. Because those people are have just as deep and rich of lives and are worth not putting through this system. Yeah, I don't know. It's so baffling to think about how there are so many other solutions to this problem, and yet we come back to a facility that puts people in cages and puts people through conditions that they are currently in. So I hope that you all consider in the future advocating for continuing to use your power and your influence to advocate for more diversion programs, more support for those people who really need it, to keep them out of these positions in the first place. Because the thing that creates the system that we have is fear and agitation and biases and racism and like anti-homelessness. And the thing that I come back to is that those are all people. And if we treat them as people and we give people the resources that they need to keep them out of these situations that put them in jail, it is that fucking simple. And it baffles me. It just is so baffling. Yeah, because I have some humanity.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment?
Hello, good morning. My name is Elizabeth Marilla Kapp. I'm an educator and a licensed independent social worker and a parent.
That up, Elizabeth, if you want to stand.
That's true. I'm a tall girl. And a parent here in Iowa City. And I wanted to kind of continue the conversation around diversion. I would love to kind of urge all of you, County Attorney Zimmerman Smith and all of the supervisors, to engage in a more comprehensive accounting of the diversion practices in our county before stating with assurance that we need to incarcerate many, many more people. I've been working in the field of diversion for many years as an emergency room social worker, as a mobile crisis responder in community mental health. And even from my angle, with a lot of information and experience, it's really hard to see and to quantify what the commitment around diversion has been in this county and to understand kind of the mechanism behind the calculation that we're maxed out on diversion. I'd love to see participation numbers around all of the kind of pre-encounter diversion programs. I would love to know more about what police are doing during the encounter, and I would love to see participation numbers around post-arrest programs like problem-solving courts, and to learn more about those outcomes before we spend $94.5 million plus the interest on the bond to incarcerate many more people. I don't think we have the information we need to confidently state that. And I also think that we could be spending a lot less money now on improving conditions for the people who are already incarcerated in the jail. I'll just say it again, there's not a licensed mental health provider on site in that place. That's really, really risky, and it scares me. People who are incarcerated are much more likely to experience serious mental illness. They're much more likely to experience suicidal crisis. And there's no one in there that has the clinical expertise to handle that right now. We could bring back some version of in-person visitation for people right now. The jail used to have that. That wouldn't cost $94.5 million. And that's just the start of a list of improvements that could be done in advance of building this facility. And, even if the facility comes to pass, like, why are we waiting to improve conditions until it happens? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? Is there any additional public comment? Is there any additional public comment? Seeing none, thank you, everyone, for your attention this morning. Yes? We'll stand at ease for 5 minutes. All set, Marley? JJ, all set?
We're set.
We'll come back to order, please. We're still on item C, business from the public. Item C2 this morning is to acknowledge correspondence from the public. We have no correspondence this morning. That brings us to item D, our consent agenda. The chair would seek a motion to approve the consent agenda items, including payment of claims totaling $692,429.14.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Sullivan, second by Green Douglas. Discussion. Roll call.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Fix-Marais,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Remington,
Aye.
Green Douglas.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. The consent agenda items are approved. Item E, formal meeting business. E1 this morning is to consider fiscal year 27 end-user license agreement with Granicus at Carasoft for $54,292 for meeting and agenda software.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Fix-Marais, second by Sullivan. Discussion. Roll call.
Fix-Marais,
Aye.
Green,
Aye.
Remington,
Aye.
Green Douglas.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. That end-user license agreement is approved. Item E2 is to consider resolution associated with site plan application SP26-4 of TWS Buildings LLC for the property addressed as 4995 Waterway Lane Southwest.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Fix-Marais, second by Sullivan. Discussion. Roll call.
Green,
Aye.
Remington,
Aye.
Green Douglas.
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Fix-Marais.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. That site plan is approved. Item E3 is to consider speed limit recommendation and resolution establishing speed limit on F14, also known as Sutliff Road Northeast.
Move approval.
Move approval.
Moved by Green Douglas, second by Remington. Discussion. Roll call.
Remington,
Aye.
Green Douglas,
Aye.
Sullivan,
Aye.
Fix-Marais.
Aye.
Green.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. The resolution is adopted. Item E4 is to consider resolution setting November 3rd, 2026 as the date for an election on the proposition of entering into a loan agreement and issuing general obligation bonds for the purpose of constructing a new jail facility and sheriff's office in an amount not to exceed $94,500,000 and associated notice for special bond election.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved by Green Douglas, second by Sullivan. Discussion?
Yes, I have a amendment I would like to propose. I'd like the amendment to read for the bond language, shall the County of Johnson, State of Iowa, issue its general obligation bonds in an amount not exceeding the amount of $94,500,000 and an additional $30 million in interest for the purpose of acquiring land and constructing, equipping, and furnishing a new sheriff's office and jail facility. And I want to enter that agreement, that amendment, because I think that it highlights the actual cost. And when we've talked about, setting the 12-year, 15-year, that's the number that we agreed on, and that money is real. And so I would like to make sure that from the governmental transparency perspective, that we're putting the actual cost of the jail on here. And I'm open to changing it to include a total, which would be $120.5 million.
But my suggestion is to include an additional 30 million in interest for the purpose of acquiring land.
Morley, could you read that back, please, to make sure that you have it?
Yeah, the biggest change is an additional $30 million in interest after the 94,500,000.
So you're comfortable, you have
Yep.
the language. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Fix-My-Rise, second by Remington. Discussion?
Well, I would say that we got the language that we are voting on today through consultation with bond counsel. And I am not comfortable voting on something that bond counsel has not reviewed. And so I am going to oppose this amendment. I'm going to vote on what they have given us.
I do want to say that given the timing of everything, and we haven't had an opportunity to really, I know we had a discussion yesterday about we actually landed on where that was going to come from. So I would ask then that we defer this vote until we hear from bond counsel whether or not we can include that.
I think you have to take one amendment at a time.
Okay.
The question is the amendment. V, to your point about deferring for consultation with bond counsel, I can tell you as the supervisor who's been working with bond counsel most closely to perfect this language, they feel very strongly that the language that we have before us this morning is the best language. There have been discussions about adding additional details, and they were not comfortable with that.
I understand that, and also I think in the purpose of government transparency, I appreciate bond counsel, which is exactly what it is. It's counsel. And I think at the end of the day, we make the decision. So I do think that if you are asking the public for multi-million dollars of money, that you might as well be transparent about how much you're actually asking for. And in this case, it's obscured. It's not the true cost.
Is there any additional discussion? The question before us is on the amendment. Roll call, please.
Green Douglas?
Nay.
Sullivan?
Nay.
Fix-My-Rise?
Aye.
Green?
Nay.
Remington?
Aye.
Motion fails 2-3 with supervisors Sullivan, Green, Douglas, and Green in opposition. We're back on the main motion to consider the resolution setting November 3rd, 2026 as the date for an election on the proposition of entering into a loan agreement and issuing general obligation bonds for the purpose of constructing a new jail facility and sheriff's office in an amount not to exceed $94,500,000 and associated notice for special bond election. Is there additional discussion?
Yeah, I would like to read this relevant document into the record. It's called the Roberts Rules of Order, and it's newly revised. Apologies, there's a lot of contents because it's a very large document. This 11th edition of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, is issued 135 years after the 1876 publication by then Major Henry M. Robert of the first in the series of books familiarly known as Robert's Rules of Order. A complete list of the editions is shown on page 7, and their history is told in the introduction. In the decades since the publication of the 10th edition at the turn of the millennium, 3 important resources have been added to supplement. First, for some time, there has been a felt tension between the need for a parliamentary manual lengthy enough to provide rules as comprehensive and unambiguous as possible, so as to cover the great number and variety of parliamentary issues that may arise in a deliberative assembly, on the one hand, and the desirability of a book simple and straightforward enough to allow the ordinary meeting goer easily to learn and use the basic rules that are sufficient for most meetings, on the other hand. When this book last underwent complete revision in 1970, a concerted effort was made to enhance the value of the work for the study of parliamentary law, to the extent consistent with its primary purpose as a reference manual. For those who will brave it, it is written to serve as a self-explanatory text that can be read through, with topics presented in an order that will best convey an overall understanding of the subject matter. Nevertheless, it is recognized that this project may be a bigger challenge than many newcomers to parliamentary procedure will find themselves at first able or willing to take on. In 2005, to meet the need for a simple and short book, Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised in brief, was first published. A new edition of In Brief, updated and revised so as to mesh with this 11th edition, has now been published. The 11th edition of Robert's Rules, the complete rule book, now contains 669 pages of text plus tables and index. All of its content has to be included because it may be needed, has at some point time come up as a question of procedure somewhere. This book is designed as a reference providing, I'm sorry, you can't stop me, as nearly as possible, an answer to any question of parliamentary procedure that may arise. To gain an introductory familiarity with meeting rules, however, many people will find it useful to start with the In Brief book. In only 20 minutes, the average reader can learn the bare essentials, and with about an hour's reading can cover all the basics. Additional chapters give suggestions on how most efficiently to use this 11th edition as a reference manual and guidance to those chosen as convention delegates or alternates, or as president, vice president, secretary, or treasurer of an organization. Helpful tables at the end give both the chair and the ordinary member of the proper wording to use in handling the most common motions in conducting a meeting. It cannot be stressed too strongly, however, that In Brief is an introductory supplement to, not a replacement for, this book. Only this book is comprehensive enough to be suitable for adoption as a rule book governing an assembly, and it covers many essential matters, from the content of bylaws to disciplinary procedures that are hardly touched on in the shorter work. Second, an electronic version, as well as of In Brief, was made available through collaboration with American Legal Publishing, and a new version to accompany the new editions of both is being published. Its search feature is especially useful, and it contains much helpful additional material, such as instructions for tellers and counting ballots, and for timekeepers, sample forms, explanation of secondary amendments, and much more. Third, the Roberts Rules Association, the organization of the original author's descendants that oversees the management and regular updating of the work, sponsors a website. On its question and answer forum, one may post queries and conduct discussion about any aspect of parliamentary procedure. The website also includes, on issues of parliamentary
Supervisor
law,
Fixborough, the
arising
chair
between
must
editions.
inquire as to the germaneness of these comments.
Well, I believe that when we're talking about procedure, it's good to look at the actual Robert's Rules of Order so that we know that we're actually proceeding correctly. And so that is why I'm dedicated to making sure that this board understands, and in here we will find the germaneness of how we are proceeding. And so I do believe that it's relevant, and I can continue reading if you would allow me to.
Do you have something relevant to this item?
Yeah, well, I think relevant is a question as to whether or not it is relevant to the board, and Robert's Rules is relevant to the board. And so that's why I'm reading this.
In its entirety?
In its entirety, yes. Yeah.
The chair would seek a motion for the previous question
For the previous question,
to end debate.
what do you mean?
A motion to call the previous question ends debate and forces an immediate roll call vote.
I would call the question.
It's been moved by Sullivan, second by Green Douglas, to call the previous question. Roll call, please.
Sullivan?
Aye.
Fixmer-Rice?
No.
Green?
Aye.
Remington?
No.
Green Douglas?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-2 with Supervisors Remington and Fixmer-Rise in the negative. We are on the previous question, the main motion. Roll call, please.
Fixmer-Rice?
No.
Green?
Aye.
Remington?
No.
Green Douglas?
Aye.
Sullivan?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-2 with Supervisors Remington and Fixmer-Rise in the negative. Supervisors, if I may take your leave, we're going to forgo supervisor reports this morning. The next meeting of the Board of Supervisors is August 11th at 10 a.m. Until such time, we shall stand adjourned.
Losers, sellout, better than green. Fucking disgrace, dude. You should be ashamed of yourself.